We're getting juicy. We both love sushi. Join Rachel and Hiiro, two Jewish best friends.
Yes, Queens, here we go.
Hey,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, super easily. Oh my god, look at your hair. It's so nice and straight. Yes, queen. Mm, mm. Give me that.
Oh, damn it. We're not recording yet. Oh, no, we
Hit
are
record.
recording. We are
We are
recording.
recording. Oh my god, perfect.
But
How was that? How was that? Hey, how was that bitch slap to your face? Did you wake up yet?
I did wake up a little bit already. Thank you for
Oh my
that.
god.
That virtual
Awesome.
bitch slap.
I love a good VBS. You know what? Hashtag that shit. Hashtag VBS. I gotta say it. Right and
Okay, I am obviously not in the right age demographic. What the hell did you just say?
I said hashtag VBS, hashtag virtual bitch slap.
Okay. Look, why am I doing this? I'm not an old lady. Why am I like?
I don't know, but everybody, you know what? If you're wondering what I'm talking about, we're going to put that in the show notes right down below. I don't know if this is the right gesture, but I'm just going to do it because
Well,
it
it
looks
would be the
perfect.
right gesture. People can see us, but yeah.
Professional.
Oh my God, you're on fire right now.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, am I burning? Because if I'm burning, I'm flaming.
Well, we know that.
I might have just had a bit too much caffeine from my matcha tea lemonade. So if you ever want to sponsor me on the show, you can get me a gift card to Starbucks, matcha tea lemonades, $5.20, 30-ounce Trenta cup. You're welcome.
Holy cow. Okay. Wow.
How are you, Rachel?
I'm okay. How are you? I'm schwitzing again. What the
You're
hell?
schwitzing? You're schwitzing? I'm
Schwitzing.
surprised I'm not schwitzing because I literally am always sweating like a pig, and in Yiddish, schwitzing like a chaza, as far as my bubby used to say to me.
What does that mean? What is haza?
Chaza is pig, I think, or like a beast. No,
Okay.
chaya. The other chaya is a wild beast. So schwitzing like chaza is sweating like a pig.
Okay. It's better than what I thought it meant.
What did you think it meant?
Like a WHORE. I don't know why. I don't know. Anyway.
You know what? I love myself. I love myself one of those once in a while. No, totally just kidding. But
okay.
you know what?
Oh, wow. You know what's going to happen now? You're going to be sponsored by, like, I don't know, some sort of escort service in Vancouver, or like, I'm not sure. But anyway, we're totally, completely getting very juicy and fiery without even mentioning that this is only our third episode.
Hello.
Correct?
1, 2, 3. Yes, shalosh.
Okay, you guys stop drinking those things from Starbucks. Or maybe you need to drink more of them. I have no idea. Oh my God. Welcome to episode 3 of Getting Juicy. Does that rhyme with 3? Juicy 3. Juicy 3. I'm obviously horrible at rhyming and rapping, which will never be my day job.
That's okay. I can take care of that one.
Okay, good. I could sing, but anyway. So Hiiro and I, it's just the two of us for this episode. So we kind of thought a little bit more of a getting to know us and just getting more into like our rhythm of this podcasting stuff. We do have some guests that are scheduled to come on the show in the next few weeks, which is great. So that'll be.
I'm so excited, Rachel. It is going to be just magical.
It will be magical. Let's hope so. These are actually. I'm for those of you that are not watching or you're listening. I am wearing glasses, but they're not prescription. I wear contact lenses because I'm literally as blind as a bat without contact lenses or any kind of.
Are you really?
Oh yeah, I've got stories. Like I will walk into poles. Like I can't. I'll have to be handheld.
Oh wow!
So these are blue light glasses though. So I
Ooh.
don't know, and I'm kind of like the jury's still out whether oh, there you go, your blue glass. Literally.
Perfect
Blue
timing.
glass, drinking in a blue glass, looking at a blue glasses. The jury's still out whether these work or not. And I just thought I'd try them because, from everybody working from home so much now and staring at our computer screens, seeing if they do anything, because I realized after spending multiple hours staring continuously at my screen, I was starting to get some headaches. So that is again, so we'll see, but I don't know, I'm just testing it out. Plus I like the way they look, so.
Well, they make you look fabulous and your hair is on point. And you know what? As we're on the topic of blue products, this blue water glass is a lovely combination inside. And I got it from the fantastic cupboard of my mother's. So if you ever want to get one online, just go to my mother's cupboard. I'm not sure what the extension will be, but I'm sure you'll find them just fine.
Any Jewish mother's cupboard. You know what? That is funny because my mother also loves blue and blue glasses.
Really?
Is this like a Jewish mother thing? Will you go listeners? What's that?
Did you say your mother likes glue glasses as well? Glue?
What are you talking about? Glue?
I thought I heard you say glue, so you're like, my mom loves glue-ish glasses. I'm like, are we talking about the same thing?
Glue? I'm pretty sure I said blue.
Okay, blue.
Okay. Mind you, I'm still getting used to wearing headphones and talking, and I don't like putting both of them in my ears because then I think I'm just yelling.
Right.
And my husband's in the other room, but I'm surprised. I'm probably screaming now. I have no idea, but we'll try it. I don't like listening to my own voice in my head with these headphones. But something that I thought I would ask you, Hiiro, actually, because I had a couple people asking, and my mother even, the way she was writing your name was like, as in, you're my hero.
Oh.
H-E-R-O, but that's not how you spell your name. It's H-I-I-R-O. And I was wondering if you could explain the background to that. And I kind of feel like it might not be what was on your birth certificate.
I love it. We're getting.
I know the story. But I'm wondering if you'd like to share.
Absolutely. I'm more than happy to share. It's one of those things when people see a white male and they hear the name Hiiro, it's usually pretty commonly associated with more of a Japanese culture. But I've also gotten people that are saying in Greek culture, it can come up as well.
Really?
And apparently, yeah. So growing up, I was born with the most beautiful and traditional Jewish biblical name that one could think of. And I will not reveal the name, but pop quiz.
I almost did, and I stopped myself, so good thing you said that.
So, yes, I don't reveal my birth name to people. However, you can definitely snoop around and find it in the interwebs. If you are that creepy and want to stalk me, please stalk me. I could use some followers. But I would recommend that you just look at the name and be like, Hiiro Zake, Secret Prince. That's a clusterfuck. But anyways, so Hiiro with two eyes. Growing up, I was very much an awkward kid and went through a lot of mental health issues that we talked about in the past episode when we were introducing ourselves. Mm-hmm. And one way that I chose to fill my time and feel more alive in society was by altering my reality, playing video games. Hi, gamers. And so when I started gaming a lot from basically, you could have said I was gaming basically when I came out of the womb. I was holding a controller or typing on a keyboard or holding a mouse from as early as 2 years old. And, given the generation that was brought in, the internet was just coming into using the internet for entertainment and electronics and digital gaming.
Right.
So carry onward to about 3 or 4 or 5 years old. My brother had a really good friend, and I was friends with the brother in that family too that was the same age. And so we would game a lot together. And one of the games that they were really thrilled and excited to be playing, the main character's name was Hiiro with one eye. So that was the first time I'd heard the name. And I always liked the way that the game Lunar, it's called Lunar, same as like a lunar eclipse. Lunar Blue, Eternal Blue is what it was called. It came out for the original Sega CD, which was connected to the Sega Genesis video game console. So we're talking like late 80s, early 90s. We're talking like very early stage video game development for home consoles. Lunar got redistributed and refurbished in like 2000. Right? You're like,
that's so rude.
So it comes from that.
Sorry, that was so rude.
No, whatever. It's fine. I'm sure a lot of people are boring.
No, you could just. No, that was so rude. I guess you could just tell where my. Yeah, it is.
Well, you're not a gamer. You're not.
No, exactly.
Yeah, you don't know the history. So you're just like, okay, what is it? Where is it from? Okay, all right.
It's kind of like when my eyes glaze over when my husband talks about cars, and I'm like,
exactly. Anyway. Exactly. When my ex-boyfriend wanted to watch, movies about like period pieces or horror movies or sci-fi, I would look at it for 5 minutes and be like, sorry, I can't do this. Sorry.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Please continue.
Oh, good. This is juicy. I love it. Anyway, so the game came back out in 2000, and I was in elementary. I played through it, and I just loved the character, how they were designed, animated, how they were voice-overed and stuff, very cartoony. And they were, they're supposed to be 17 in the way that the character was developed, and I was, younger than that.
Yeah.
And it kind of coincidentally lined up with when I started meeting other gay people and changing my social settings around where people didn't know me from my birth name. And so I was kind of waiting for a time where I could really reestablish my identity in a way where I felt when people called me by my name, that's how I wanted to be responded to. A lot of guys were being given the same birth name that I was in my generation. Apparently before that, there wasn't a lot of people named that. So when I was brought up with it, there was always another one of my name divided by our last initial. So it was always
so your
like
name is John.
Right, totally. And so, if there was like a Josiah, two Josiahs, then there's always going to be like, a Josiah Z or Josiah C. Mm-hmm. And so I was always, Josiah with that last initial. And I always felt like I was the second to the original. I was never the first in that group or the first in that class. So I always was like the other one. And no one likes to feel like the other one. And so I decided when I get in the right social setting where no one knows me and I can actually reemerge as who I want to be, that's going to be the ticket. So I started going by associating the name as Hiiro in social media, and also when I started going to my gay youth group, where I mentioned last time, that's where I was first exposed to a yoga class, because no one knew me.
Right.
So it was kind
you
of
were like completely reinventing yourself, so to speak. To the person, but not really. I mean, when I say reinventing, I mean
I was re-identifying.
But also to be you, your genuine you. Like when we mean reinventing, does it mean like playing somebody else or pretending or acting? You're actually, it's more like being genuine at this point. Finally.
Yes, correct. So what caused me to finally flip my switch and say I can't do this anymore? I was competing, in big quotations, in a Jewish athletic competition that's around the world, at least in North America.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know, right? An athlete, what?
Sorry. How could you tell that my what? Was that's what I meant, but that I was a little surprised. It was just, I guess it was a surprise. What?
So this is new to you too, then. I guess I didn't mention this story to you. This little maybe you don't know about this.
No.
Okay, so this is like a top exclusive, like, now you know, the more you know, shooting star NBC moment.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so I used to do track and field because, as a gay man in the mid-2000s or whatever, the things you need to do is to run away fast so you don't get gay bashed, or to make sure that you can be protective. And I had no coordination. So I ran fast.
Sorry, I'm sorry to reel it back a little bit, but is that really why you went into track and field?
That's not the reason why I went in the track and field, but it was something that I did think about in terms of I needed to run and to protect myself, that I had an ability to have the stamina to flee or to be able to be swift if I knew I was in danger. Yeah, that's one reason why I liked it. Wow. Yeah, it was one of the outlets I had to feel like I was free and that I felt like I was in control of my environment.
Yeah, interesting.
And I had horrible coordination, and I hated team sports because all I could do was basically be the annoying defense decoy, which I took a lot of, joy in being a total dipshit and being the provocative guy. But in the offense, I couldn't kick a ball, couldn't throw a ball.
Oh, I was horrible in sports. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, track and field is kind of like my most competitive form of athletic activity in high school. And so I wanted to do some track meets, and we can save that story for another time because that's actually really funny, my childhood track meets. And, but yeah, so for this Jewish athletic competition, running was the thing I could submit for. So I got in and I applied, and we went to the Orange County. And in the OC, we were at the Jewish Community Center there as like the base where all the delegations from other cities were hosted. And so you had all the tents, all the camps, blah, blah, blah. And I would say you have like easily hundreds of youth that are there from ages of, 13 to 18. And I kept hearing the most common 8 to 10 Jewish or biblical boys' names constantly. Kind of like though I haven't seen the movie Lost in Translation, I know there is a very classic scene where Bill Murray is kind of walking around in Tokyo, I believe, or in Japan, and he's just like lost, and he's like looking around, and he doesn't know where he is, and kind of looks like he's stuck in a time portal. And that's how
I love that movie. Yeah. Was it Joshua, Benjamin? I don't know what kind of
Adam, Max. So I kept hearing all these names and a lot of common last names. And so honestly, I was looking around a lot, and I almost was feeling totally unidentified because I didn't know, was someone calling my name? Was someone not calling my name? Do I have to pay attention to something? And so I said, that was the actual visceral moment where my brain said, that's it. I need to change my name and change it permanently. So that was around 15 in 2006.
That's very astute for a 15-year-old. And were your parents on board with it?
They weren't opposed to it, but I think they were understandably, because of a teenager and also knowing my nature, it can be quite impulsive and it can be quite manic to go in guns blazing with one thing and then kind of lose steam and maybe regret the decision later in that brain state. They were curious and they were unsure. However, once they realized that everything that I sort of transitioned in my graduating high school last 2 years, that I could give my called name as opposed to my given name, so then everyone else in my school knew me as Hiiro. And then everywhere else I went in my work environment, when I started working in the workforce, I was able to say my name is Hiiro. So even if I had to check with my birth name before I changed it to which is Hiiro now, I can put the birth name in parentheses, but put my actual called name and then my legal last name on my payment information. So the only things that were with my legal name until I finally changed them, thanks, Dad, for reminding me that. I forgot it doesn't happen automatically. I kind of looked at my birth name as my medical name. So whenever I would go for appointments or sessions or my care card and things linked to my birth certificate, before I changed those, that's where people would address me by my birth name.
Yeah, of course.
Passport and stuff. But now literally there's no documentation or government IDs or any kind of transcripts that has my birth name on it as far as my first name. Yeah. But
sorry, continue. I just have something to say about names, but that's
the last thing I was just going to say is that people also, so now you know where the name came from, but people also wonder why those names, especially the second name, which is Zake, because it doesn't really make sense. But Zake is a kind of a Japanese sounding way of saying my late brother's name, which was Zachary, or Zach with an H. So I wanted to honor myself, my brother, and my parents in my full name. So it's Hiiro, which is myself, Zake, which is my brother, Siegel, which is my mother's maiden name, and Prince, which is my dad's maiden name. So I have the four of us as a lineage because I'm most likely the only next generation because I don't plan on having a biological family. And so I wanted to carry the end of that bloodline through my rest of my life, no matter what happens from here onward. So that's why I came up with that full name.
Wow. that is unbelievable, because I actually didn't realize that Zake was. I didn't know the history behind that too. So that's amazing.
Yep.
So amazing, and there's so many. Yeah, there's so many different topics we can offshoot from that. Whether it be, we can talk about your brother on maybe on another time, but there's
we will.
that. There is names, because of my last name Rosen wasn't actually Rosen. My that's something I wasn't really going to talk about right now, but when my grandfather, when I was 80, came to Canada after the war, World War II, being a Holocaust survivor, he had to shorten his name, because a lot of people did at that time because it was too ethnic sounding. So he shortened it from Rosenzweig to Rosen. And speaking of like ending of lineages, I mean, I am lucky because my grandfather had a couple of kids, my dad included, but a couple of the kids he had sons, and they're passing on the Rosen name to their kids. So whether we have kids or not, which would be under probably my husband's name, not my last name, like Rosen is being carried. But it's something to really think about, especially when you come from those types of coming out of that kind of trauma, or those kinds of events, historically speaking, and then triumphing and hopefully, passing on that name to future generations. So there's, it's definitely, it might seem kind of like old fashioned, but I think it's important, it's, yeah.
I think, and adding on to that, sorry, Rach, to add on to that as well. First names, I think, are really important, but last names are also really indicative of one's history and where the line has come from, right? And so, one thing I was going to say is that back in my dad's growing up, apparently the last name was supposed to be Rafeus, which has a history behind that. But then eventually they, meaning my dad and his brother, kind of realized that, and then went through a process to then make sure that Prince was the actual name, because Prince was one of the names from before.
Right.
So it's interesting how we might not be aware of the origin of something, but then at the same time, there is a story behind either what the name became or what it was originally, right? Yeah. It's really neat. I love the whole genealogy or epigenealogy behind where we come from. I think a lot of people could talk about it more frequently. So it'd be cool to dive into that in the future.
Oh man, there's so well, and then just speaking, and it's interesting because it's funny that we keep going back to touching back on our Jewish roots. And yes, the podcast is called Getting Juicy, which is more, I think, more or less a play on just what we have in common and those things that are in our lives. But it's funny because I'm coming back to another Jewish topic, but I would like, and both here and I think we want to remind people that this is not a religious podcast.
Oh, hell no.
It's not. Yeah, no, I had a friend, just asking about that because of the name, and it's just a way. It's not a religious podcast. I want it to be something that anyone can get anything out of, or something out of one of the episodes. Doesn't have to be everything out of all of them, but it's just something that we have in common, right? But again, but what the heck was I going to say about it? Of course, it was back to Judaism, though, for some reason.
One thing I want to add, and if the thought comes back, is, as Rachel said, it's very easy to look at a name of a podcast and think, okay, Getting Juicy. But actually, if you think about it, Jewish culture is not linear. So just because it might have the term juicy with J-E-W in it, it's the fact that not that we're the only culture or background that has that kind of charisma or that kind of perception on subjects and topics. There is a certain flavor I find that can be quite different when I am connecting with people. Not all people, because people are people. But if you have the right chemistry and you both happen to share a similar ancestral heritage, there is something that is quite unique about the dynamic of those dialogues, where it might be different if it wasn't. So I think that's the indication. I think that's the indication of Getting Juicy, is that, again, it's not religious, but there is a cultural correlation in terms of some of the subject matters or some of the tones and kind of the When you say that, at least in my life, that there's a lot of self-deprecating humor, but as a way of coping and as a way of living and as a way of making light of life, because what else are we going to do? That there's just a certain level of kind of darkness, but it's actually quite light. We kind of have taken that and made light of it.
Well, yeah, otherwise how do you move forward? I mean, you can move forward, but it ends up being, it's a depressing life if you continue to live in that darkness and live in the shadow, or I guess more the shadow of what happened prior to in previous generations, which brings me to saying that I've reached out to actually an expert in the field of generational trauma, which I'm hoping will get on the show.
Yes,
not
please
even,
come.
yeah, and not even having, yeah, and not even having to do with even specifically Jewish Holocaust survivor from grandparents, that any generational trauma, not just specific to that, but just in general, how real that actually is.
Yes.
And actually, but now I remember what I was going to say, because you were talking about name changes. I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit here, but someone else that I'm hoping to get on the show is a street performer named Spandy Andy. And for those of you that live in Vancouver, you're probably very aware of this I was say this boy, but he's a man now. I knew him when he was like 18.
Yes.
But he still is. He lives in Alberta now. Full on spandex, extremely bright colored spandex, and he'd dance around and just bring smiles to people's faces, doing, very crazy, like almost acrobatic moves, and with a massive boombox, and he'd bring it around the streets of Vancouver, and he would just put smiles on people's faces. But why I bring him up is because he also changed his name legally to Spandy Andy.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, that's on his, and I've known him, and I'm not going to get all the story because I'd like to hopefully have him on the show, and we
need to have
more.
some confidentiality for Mr. Andy.
Yeah, but I know that's, anyway, that was interesting because you're talking about changing your name. So, yeah, but so switching topics a little bit here, how's everything going? Because you have a new job, and we're kind of, Hiiro and I were chatting just before hopping on here just about the changes that have come into our lives with regards to jobs and work situations, scenarios, and what we're both doing, and how, yeah. So now Hiiro's working with the public.
Yeah, the public.
The public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, as we were kind of saying in our introduction previously the other week, I primarily was a full-time yoga and Pilates teacher.
Yes.
For one of the municipalities here in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver, or in British Columbia, I should say more specifically. And though I was teaching full-time and I was fulfilling those duties and those passions and lifestyles, understandably, as all of you could probably relate, COVID, and end of story. So once we went back into teaching, it was such a part-time amount of classes that I knew that when push comes to shove, eventually I might need to explore and entertain other employment opportunities, whatever the context might be. I just knew that I am someone that likes to do stuff. I like to be busy, and my work is my life, and I love to work. So some people live to work or work to live. For me, I live to work. That's just how I love to be. Otherwise, I can't stay connected for very long in what I do for a living or for a lifestyle. And as Rachel was pointing out, it's been really fascinating and very rewarding to observe the contrast in being a contractor and being in your own space and providing something that you're an expert or a craftsman at, like teaching, and then being back in a space where versus teaching for like an hour at a time and then you're free and you can look at your phone or you can go and grab food and beverage. You kind of have your own thing on the clock. It's different when you are employed, whether if it's from home or if you're working in a brick and mortar actual business on the street or in a mall, as understandably, a lot of it is shift-based work. And even if it's like 9 to 5, or if it is a more range time frame, you are on your feet a lot or sitting a lot. You're managing lots of different personalities, different clients or different customers or different coworkers that you're working with. And so what's really interesting is that I've been relearning and refining a lot of those skills that are still there within me, but maybe haven't been as exposed or explored for a while, because I've been very comfortable with what I've been doing for the last seven years or so. It's been a long time since I've been back in a guest-facing setting that without it being a teaching environment.
Now, has that been like, because and prior to all this, I was doing some work as a merchandiser for a wine company in the Okanagan, and then was temporarily laid off and just decided that I wanted to take a bit of a different route. But I can't still imagine, even though we've been quite lucky in Canada and in British Columbia, but I can't imagine being front facing with customers still. Like I'm still, and to give everyone a little bit of a background, I'm very open about this, and we'll continue to talk more about mental health as we go along with these episodes, because we've already said numerous times it's close to our hearts of wanting to open up conversations about it. But just imagine somebody who is a hypochondriac, has predominantly health anxiety, and then a pandemic hits. I mean, it's like, I'm laughing now because it's sort of like, in a way, my worst nightmare came true, right? But in another sense, actually, it's funny because I think I was listening to something that Howie Mandel said. And if you don't know this, I mean, yes, Howie Mandel's Jewish. God, another Jew that we're talking about. Okay, yeah. But he's also I thought I would be the first one to break into song from musical theater parents. I'm shocked. That was a good, okay. Anyway, again, digressing. So what the heck are you doing?
Clear my throat.
Anyway, Howie Mandel's also a self-proclaimed hypochondriac, and so
yes, he is.
It's interesting, funny, because he said, also probably a nightmarish thing to have happened to somebody who worries about those kinds of things on a daily basis. But we've been preparing for this for a long time. So, he made a joke. He's like, if there's anybody that's been doing all the things that they've been asking us to do with the pandemic, we've got those things down pat.
Mm-hmm.
Down pat. So, gotta bring some humor and some light to it at this point. But with that being said, it definitely threw me for a loop in that sense, because I was working with the public as well. And as I was temporarily laid off, I decided I don't really want to go back into numerous retail stores across a big, location, big area that I was servicing. And I'd rather get more into social media and doing this kind of fun stuff. And I hadn't really exercised my creative bone for a while after having the yoga studio. So, that's where I ended up being. But it's, we're all kind of slightly taking different routes, I think, with this. But when it all comes down to it, most things are going online, and most things are doing what we're doing right now, which is interesting with you in retail. And you said it was extremely busy there, people coming in the store still. So people are still shopping, at least in Canada and BC. I'm sure it's different in other places of the world, which one more thing I'll say is that another interesting thing is we have one of our guests named Jono that will be coming on in about a week's time, who is from Australia. Very interested to see and hear what he has to say about what's going on there. He's in Melbourne. And we'll also be chatting about dating during the pandemic. So that's going to be very interesting. Hiiro and Jana will have a good getting fruity date. We're gonna
get nice and fruity.
Fruity, yeah.
Fruity. Okay, I'll stop.
Oh, again. Fruity. Wait, that was horrible.
Oh dear, I love it.
Oh, guys, I can kind of sing. I'm being completely ridiculous, but in any case, Yeah, we just jumped around from jobs to dating and to guests on the show and all these kinds of things.
Yeah, let's circle back to the job for a moment.
Yes, please.
One thread that I would love to tie a little bit more. It's definitely been what I think the biggest observation is for me. And even though, again, when you're new to any kind of environment and learning the ropes around wherever you are, naturally you may be on a higher frequency, a little bit more spastic because you're taking in so much information. What I find really interesting is looking at all the different personalities that come into an environment and being able to adapt and to sway into those different roles that we play in daily life, but it might be more consistent and more variety because that's just the way that retail or things like that work. And whereas when you're teaching classes, you get different students all the time in a drop-in setting. It's one thing to guide people through an hour of movement or breathing and knowing that they're doing their thing. And then it's another when you have, not in a negative way, but you have kind of a revolving door kind of style of different people entering and exiting and then consistently restarting those conversations from scratch and then kind of getting a general vibe of those people.
100%. Retail can be like a broken record. Like you can feel like you're sounding like a broken record. Sales in general. So you have to, because I've been in sales for many years as well. And you have to, I think as long as you can continue to be excited about your product and be genuine and come across as being genuine and be honest, you know, like I don't bullshit people. If I'm like, you know what? Nah, this is not for you because I'm not just going to sell something to you just because I'm supposed to. Like, I mean, I need to believe in it. So.
Well, you know what though? And again, that's actually something that I was going to say. A lot of people, like I was having some conversation and stuff about educating or selling product, whatever it might be. And I was explaining to my colleagues that I was just getting to know, and I was saying, you know, I'm a real people person. I really enjoy people and product. And as far as systems or administration, I have learned and I can learn quick how to do those things. And I'm interested in that information. But at the end of the day, I'm a people person and I want to be able to exercise that leadership to make a difference in one's life. And I find that clothing so often is about the technical stuff. And for me, I've always thought about being a counselor or a psychologist or a talk therapist, but I never had the interest in the academic requirements or the work that needs to go into that. Right. So for me, being a yoga teacher, as well as prior to teaching yoga, and now as I'm still teaching yoga and Pilates, I look at each customer, each person that I have as a client in the sense of a image therapist, a clothing stylist / consultant.
I love it.
So that way, when I'm actually looking at people that are trying things on, it's not a matter of how much they buy, because what I focus on is how they feel and what I can do to help them feel embodied and empowered in what they feel with something on top, like a garment of clothing. And so that way I can connect with them in not so much of a sales way, but just show them all the options that are available and see how I can understand their lifestyle professionally and personally, and how those different functions of the garments they're trying on actually go into their daily life. And those kinds of genuine conversations allow those people to trust within you, because you're just being a human as opposed to playing the role of an associate. You're being human and just having a conversation about whatever it is that you're sharing the conversation about, and that will indicate their experience.
Yeah, you are about relationship building. You are, and I've always been the same way with my work as well. If I feel like I need to build those relationships with not just my colleagues or coworkers, but with the people that I'm either selling to or work. 100%. I keep looking down because, and I wish I could show this, but I don't think I can, because I feel like that there's a little bit of censorship there, but my computer is actually resting on 2 books. And these books, no, you'll get a kick out of this. These books, one of them is called The Big Penis Book 3D. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking. The other one is called The Big Book of Breasts 3D.
Love it.
And I'm not even kidding you. These are two books that my husband and I, when we went to New York City about, a number of years ago now, happened upon, I should say, we didn't go and search for it, guys. We happened upon a sex museum
Yes.
in New York, went in there, and as we came out in the store, right? The gift shop, I should say, were these books, and they actually come with 3D glasses.
Awesome. That is great.
So they've been like our kind of novelty coffee table books for a long time. Now, funny enough, all the photos in them they're not necessarily classy, but they're all from like the 60s and 70s. So it's it's kind of fascinating, like almost old school porn. But we just
where it's classy and they have all the traditional music and like it's a whole production instead of just
oh god, now we're getting on a whole different interesting tangent here. But and like, people still had hair and didn't really care about manscaping or womanscaping or any of that kind of stuff. But
it's true.
But my point is that I just noticed that I was completely listening to you, but I keep looking down just the binding of the books, which is hilarious. But they've been quite a novelty in our household as a coffee table book, especially when the in-laws come over. I mean, they've known we've had these books for a long time.
Totally. The only thing I want to add on that, and then we'll get back on topic, because this is what Rachel and I love to do, is they have this kind of mind map and it keeps going out and out, and we got to reel it in.
Yeah.
But what a couple of similar novelty books that I have just to give for shits and giggles is that when if I have a guest over and they're in my bathroom, on the top of the vanity above the seat, I have gay sex books from when I was a teenager, and then I have beside it a book called The Tiny Penis, which is like a kids adult style puppet book where you can put your thumb in the penis and it's like turn the pages and watch little penis grow.
What?
I'm serious. It's like watch a little schmeckle grow.
I was just gonna say, rewind to our first episode when you talked about
just a schmeckle amount.
I was thinking that was a schmeckle, but that really just means penis. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and then also I have.
So what do you mean it grows? It's
so if my thumb and index were to symbolize the puppet.
Okay.
And then you would have the pages. With the book closed, it's gonna look like it's small, but when you go to the end of the 9th page or whatever, it's like a cardboard book. Then it shows the whole puppet at the end.
Oh my god! And I'm sorry, this is a kid's book?
Well, no, it's designed to be like the kid's book, but it's an adult.
But it's
book.
not. It's an adult. Okay, when you said that, I was like, what? What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then the other one that I have is a larger book that's actually what kind of penis do you have? What would the name be? So literally it's like a scale and you flip through based on...
Guys, if you couldn't have just seen my face right there, but I just cocked my head what? Look in my eyes.
So
what?
I gotta say, I'm not a reader.
No,
I love that. You're like, doing?
Doing?
Doing.
Is that the noise it makes when it comes out? Doing?
Doing. I don't know. It's sometimes like a Jack in the Box.
Yeah, literally.
This is not a paid advertising for Jack in the Box.
Penis.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pop and a hop and a skip and a jump. Hey, hey.
Grows the penis. Hey, 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 hey. Okay. Wow. Wow.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna pull the reel back.
Yeah, you need to pull it back in this time.
Yeah. No pun intended. Thank you. I'm here all night. But yeah. So in conclusion, returning to a more of a retail-oriented. Oh
my God, we're going back to retail. I love it. Good for you.
Good
for you. Yes.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Love it. The slow clap.
Reel it back in. Let's go. Sorry, guys, on your ears with the claps. I realize.
We'll put a discretion label on the bottom there. But yeah, so it's really interesting to look at the way we interact with our environments, and we notice and we're humbled by being a highly anxious person myself. I notice how my energy levels are up and down, or how they shift, and it obviously evens out when you get used to something and nothing really rattles you. But I think it's actually a lesson in making sure you're still growing out of your comfort zone, but just enough to feel like you're brushing on it, to know that you're reminded to wake up a little, not to the point where you feel like you're in a fight or flight zone and you feel like, you know, you're gonna
Yes.
fail. So case in point, don't be concerned about trying something that's familiar or unfamiliar, and find that proper balance of it not being too comfortable, but also not being so out of reach where you feel like you're taking on more than what you think you could handle. Find that balance, especially during the pandemic right now, where we might be more stagnant. Some people are still out of a job, but if you find a hobby, you try something new that's even you competing or evaluating yourself, not with other people. That's one thing that
100%.
you can take away from that.
And I think it's these times have been trying for people, especially who are not necessarily self-starters, or because or things like that. Because when you are, you know, when you're still out of a job, or you're forced to kind of be at home, if you're not the type that's like motivated to do things and to start, like I said, be a self-starter, which we are, that's difficult for people. Like people who rely on others to tell them what to do. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, so that can be also very difficult. And then on to the jobs again, like, well, in Canada here, we have something called CERB. So the Canadian Emergency, is it Relief Benefit?
Yes.
Yeah. So and honestly, we have been pretty blessed, because I know in the US they've received next to nothing, I believe.
Okay.
But in any case, that particular benefit is running out fairly soon for people. And if those are can actually claim EI after that, it'll just automatically roll into EI. But there's not a lot. I mean, that's not going to happen for everybody. So I feel like the job market is going to be very tough, because you think of all the thousands of people that are pretty much now being forced, if they're not doing any work at all, to find a job. And so, yeah, it's going to be very competitive out there, I think.
I think you're right about that. And I know that for another demographic of people, which I think I actually do qualify for this one, even with the part-time teaching and with being in employment, is the CRB, which is a Canadian, I think it's the Canadian Rescue Benefit, but it's for those that make under a little bit more than what the CERB was indicating for a year of income. So it allows people to still maybe claim part-time employment, but maybe that are not being provided a salary amount or a wage amount that would equate to that limitation. So you can still have some buffering. As you pointed, those, not everybody does qualify for that. So then they would be on that, EI, or requiring to find some form of disability, unemployment insurance, or getting another job of some sort. So yeah, it's definitely very tricky as we move into the fall season.
And a lot of people are going to be pushed out of their comfort zone in that sense, because that's going to be what's going to start to happen. But I kind of mentioned that because of what you're saying, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone just a little bit, but not so much, especially with people like us who do live with anxiety, which might actually end up pushing ourselves over the edge, and therefore really getting into that fight or flight mode where you can't even make rationalized decisions necessarily at that point. Right. So yeah, so that's important for sure. So otherwise, another topic that we will delve into, and I kind of alluded to this already with talking to our friend Jono, who's in Australia in the next week or so, will be dating in the pandemic during these crazy times. And there's a heck of a lot of stories out there that I'm hearing from people. So that'll be interesting, specifically talking to somebody who's in a completely different country and what that's like as comparable to Canada. But oh man, we could have segments and segments about relationships and what has been happening to people in all different kinds of relationships, whether it be they're just dating, whether it be, I shouldn't say just, but dating or married, or just oh my goodness, or like fiance who is American had to go back to the States, can't get back to Canada. Like so many crazy stories. Many stories. And I know for myself, I think I mentioned this a few times, I am married. Hiiro is looking for love. So, I mean, that's something, and it's another segment that we probably do want to, oh, nice mugshot. Looks like, oh, and of course, those who are not watching this on YouTube are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But yeah, just a super quick question, Hiiro. Have you kind of put that on the back burner right now, dating?
Yeah, I don't want to divulge too much because that will be a discussion in our fourth episode with our new friend from Melbourne. But
And pause for 1 sec. Your sound actually got lost there for some reason.
can you hear me now?
I can, but you sound very far away and like a robot.
Okay, is that better?
No,
Let's see here.
I'm not sure why it just changed.
Any change here?
But maybe it'll sound different to people listening. We'll just continue. Now you're muted, and now oh, look at that lovely face. Look at that punum.
Microphone is unmuted. Is that better?
It's no, but that's okay. Hopefully it won't. I'm not sure why that happened.
Okay. Well, keep me posted on that. As you can tell, Rachel is the technical person behind this production, and I'm like the fluff and the juice.
Oh, Fluff. You're like
Yes.
such a gorgeous punum, such a gorgeous face.
But you're the one with the beautiful oval face and the nice straightened hair. And
Oh, guys, I have not done my hair like this in months. I just decided to throw a straightening iron to it for like 2 seconds.
You know what? We could totally have like a daily check-in review on each of our episodes, and we can like rate our hair and our style.
Of course, let's just for sure. Yeah, let's just get vain. Let's just get super
Let's get a
vain.
little vain for a little gain.
Vain. Okay.
A little bit of vain for a bit of gain. So yes, I.
Oh, your
through
sound
the
got
pandemic-
better.
Oh, good. Fantastic. But yeah, real talk though, not so real, but real. When the pandemic shut us down in March here,
Sound went again.
I wonder why.
Oh, now
I
it's
haven't
back
moved my
again.
phone. That's weird. I haven't moved my phone at all. But
Who knows?
anyway, so
Maybe just I'm hearing it. Yeah.
I was dating pretty consistently, or attempting to date right when the pandemic did start, but I was obviously being as cautious and as protective and sensible as possible. However, I mean, I don't know if anyone else relates to this, but as human beings, regardless of our gender, sex, age, anything like that, but you know, it can be quite challenging to moderate your own energy and to be able to buffer that when you're stressed, you're anxious, and you need some kind of balance in your life, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely can say that I've had enough experiences over the last course of the 6 months from March to September that I definitely am looking for love, and I am always with my eyes and my heart open. However, with, again, entering into a new job and focusing on those relationships in my life that are like Rachel and I and my other lovely friendships, you just got to kind of focus on certain things, and certain things have priorities, right? So I've gone off the dating apps. I'm not actively looking or letting myself be seen by other people. But if someone wants to approach me and start a conversation, whether if it's in public, if it's through a platform like our podcast or anything like that, I'm all for it for sure. But it gets exhausting putting yourself out there all the time. And sometimes you have some successes, and sometimes, more honestly, not to be pessimistic, more often than not, you don't really, which is okay. That's the reality.
And we might just leave it there, because I want to be able to, when we have Jono on, oh yeah, we're just gonna have at her. I want to hear the stories, all those kinds of He's all the juice.
You're gonna get all that fruit juice, honey.
Oh yeah.
Right
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Drip, 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 drip down. Gotta.
And I might share a tiny bit, but also trying to respect my partner's wishes of trying not to. Oh, what are you doing with your tongue?
Well, I knew what you were gonna mention. I knew what you were gonna mention, so I thought I would match the gesture.
I just snorted a little bit. Speaking of, back to schwitzy pigs. Schwitzing pigs.
So were you gonna mention a little bit about your life in that way, or not so much?
I haven't quite decided yet, but I think that maybe not into such detail, but definitely give a little bit of a side of the relationship, like being in a relationship during the pandemic, how that's been very difficult definitely put strain and stress on my relationship and lots of people around me I know as well. Unfortunately, for some, the outcome wasn't so good, so it's very real stuff. But in any case, we still want to leave more, I think, for everyone out there to want to listen to us. So maybe
yes,
we'll
we don't
end
want
it.
to get too sick of us just soon. Just as we're getting plugged in.
Just as we're getting started, and guys, we are just still getting started. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of, and we also know that the way I think both of us work is that we get extremely excited over things and then just want to do everything all at once. And, we get very manic in that sense. And then burnout. So we'll try not to burn out for you guys. How about that? We'll try not to give it to you all at once because we were excited about this project, but but we do have, like I said, some people lined up and some more that we do want to line up. And, I think that's maybe it. I changed my, my background today.
Your background is fabulous.
I am lying in, if you can see this on YouTube, I'm lying into my painting behind me, which is a tiger in the city. The tiger is just exhausted, sleeping in the city like a freaking baby, just sleeping on the cars. It's quite cool, actually. This was actually done by an artist in Vancouver. So it's an original painting, and this particular painting we actually bought at the Nom. So there is a famous vegetarian. Is it vegetarian or vegan? Vegetarian.
It's vegetarian, but I actually just ate it the other day. Speaking of
they might have vegan options, but
they do have vegan,
vegetarian place. And I'm just looking at my phone because I've got all these texts now from my husband. He's probably like, "Are you done yet?" No, just kidding.
I'm just gonna give your husband one of these.
Oh, I thought you were gonna give him one of these. Mwah. Hero's got a crush on my husband. I think Hiiro has a crush on most. No, just kidding. I don't know.
Not most. Don't sell me.
No, I know. you might have, when I mentioned the word whore, I don't know how many minutes ago in this conversation.
Yeah, totally.
He's not. Guys, he's not.
No, I'm really not. I really admire the beauty of the male figure and the male body, and why not? We're beautiful.
Yeah, I agreed. And women are too.
Yeah. As they are.
All bodies.
Everyone's
all
gorgeous.
All humans. We're all gorgeous.
Chemistry can realign differently, but we're all beautiful and gorgeous.
Agreed. It's all in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm closing my eyes again like an avocado.
Oh my God, but you totally look like an avocado right now. Look at your beautiful oval face, and you got the nice complexion. Like, you have beautiful skin. You totally look like an avocado.
Let's not do a close up. Okay, so we will leave it at that. We will leave it at the fact that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We all have beauty. I'm sounding like a yoga teacher. But
Namaste.
yeah, we cannot wait to bring more content to you guys. And like I said, we'll just keep kind of refining, we'll keep going, we'll keep experimenting, and hopefully bring you guys stuff that will bring you some joy and some education and all those juicy things. Anything else you want to say,
Juicy.
Hiiro?
Absolutely. I just want to thank everybody that has been able to support and connect with us so far. We've gotten some wonderful messages from people on Instagram, from other podcasts that are starting or that are on the newer trend, but maybe been around a little bit longer than us. We know there are a ton of podcasts that are coming up through this time of the pandemic, and
Yes.
understandably so. We really appreciate even a second, a minute, anything that you want. And also, please feel welcome to reach out to Rachel or myself through our getting_juicy Instagram handle if you want to say hello, or if you have any questions, anything like that.
Yes, or any suggestions for content, like just anything. You know, we always want to hear from people. So
yeah, for sure.
Great shout out
And
there.
also, and also remember that, because one thing that I find that some podcasts do have is more just audio, like your Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Yes.
These videos are also going on YouTube. And so one thing that I love about that is the fact that you get to see us and how we interact with each other on a visual as well as an auditory level. So you can have 2 for 1, and guess what? You're not even paying. So it's really not even a 2 for.
I know.
It's a 2 for free.
Yes.
So I mean, get on it. What are you doing? Subscribe, follow.
Yeah. No kidding. And on that note, so YouTube, it is. I think you probably could find it just by putting in YouTube "Getting Juicy." But I know you will find it if you say "Getting Juicy with Hiiro," or excuse me, "Getting Juicy with Rachel and Hiiro."
Yes.
So yeah, but you know what? All that information is on the Insta handle, on the Instagram page at getting_juicy. And you're doing like I don't know what you're doing, the gangster sign of like, damn, okay, check out down there, all those links. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, we'll finish now. Oh, I love your smile. You look so cute.
I love your smile too.
I like your scruffy scruff.
Look at the scruffy scruff. It's very soft and it's very pleasurable.
Let me see you touch it. Oh, pretend. Oh yeah. Now we're into like 4D experience.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Gentlemen, if you want to get in on some of this little scruffy fuzziness, you know where to find it. Just give us a call. It'll be yours for no payments of anything.
My hand looks so big when I put it there to the screen.
Oh my God, I can feel it. It's just
okay, guys, we're leaving now. Okay,
we're leaving now.
Love to y'all, and see ya soon.
Have an awesome time. See you later. Namaste. Peace.